If you've got an electronic drum set, there's probably an app for that. What's up? My name is Justin. Welcome to 65 Drums, the place to give on top of all things Edrum related. Hope you're having an awesome day. I wanted to go through all the different apps for your iPhone, for tablets, for PCs, for Macs. There's a lot of different ways to control your drum module without ever touching your drum module. A lot of drummers don't realize that Alesis has apps, Roland has apps, Yamaha has apps, even Simmons has an app. So I'm just going to run through all of them. I've downloaded a ton of different ones to my phone. I'm going to explore them with you and also play through some examples. So I'm going to start off with Yamaha because they have the best selection of apps across the entire industry. So looking at their website, you'll see that they have an entire list of their apps. They've got the Music Soft Manager app, the DTX 400 Touch app, the DTX 502 Touch app, they've got the DTX 400 Drum Lessons app, the DTX Multi-12 Touch app, and the DTX 700 Touch app. So let's run through what some of those do, starting with the DTX 700 Touch app. Let me just open it up on my phone and we'll just explore and see what it does. So the first screen that you'll usually see is a little window telling you that you need to connect this to your drum module. But even if you don't decide to do that, you can still download this and just poke around and see what it can do. So let's open up the Oak Custom drum set. Everyone likes that kit on the Yamaha drum modules. And what you can do here is select the drum you want to edit. And within this app, you can adjust tuning, so you can tune it up and down, plus 12 or minus 12 points. You can adjust muffling up to 16 plus. If we go over here to detail, there's a bunch of different layer options. If we go over here to data, what you can actually do is connect this to your Dropbox account, and you can actually import kits that other people have created, and I believe you can actually Dropbox in samples and add them as a layer onto different pads. So that's really, really cool as well. This app also has a metronome on it, so you can adjust the tempo all the way up to 300 BPM and all the way down to 30. Wow, 30 is really hard to play to. You can even adjust the time signature. So you got, 1/4, you can go all the way crazy to 16/16. Wow, there's a humongous list of different time signatures here. I actually made a whole video about this once, that a lot of drummers never even use the metronome on their electronic drum set, but it's probably one of the best tools that they have because a metronome is what makes you a better drummer. All right, so that's the metronome. Let's see if we can do anything else in this app. Let's see, menu, you have a mixer section, so you can adjust the volume of all of your different pads. You can adjust the panning, you can adjust the variation. If we go over here to parameter, we got a ton of different settings here that you can go through. So right here you can adjust the gain, you can adjust the velocity curve. I believe you can just move it around with your finger. The only unfortunate thing about this is that it's not really wireless. You have to buy a cable, plug it from your phone or your tablet into your drum module. So even though the app is free, it's still going to cost you a little bit of money to get going. But if you already have that cable lying around, or if you just want to buy it and test it out, this is a really cool app. And it's much nicer than using the screen on your drum module, especially if you download it to your iPad, like this iPad mini that I have cracked the screen, or if you have an iPod Touch lying around that is dead to you, you never use it anymore, but now you can have it as a dedicated device just to control your drum module. I think that's really cool as well. Now let's take a look at their lowest end drum module, the 400 series, and see what that app lets you do. So when you open it up, this interface, instead of scrolling up and down, you scroll from side to side, so you turn the phone sideways. Let's take a look at hard rock. So what they let you do in this screen is, touch whatever drum you want to edit. So let's edit the snare, and let's make this into, a percussion instrument. Now remember, the drum module on the DTX 400 series doesn't have a screen at all, so it's really hard to see what you're doing because you can't see what you're doing. So just being able to see, just having a screen is really, really nice. I wish the Roland TD1 had an app like this. We also have a metronome right here. You can adjust the tuning right here with the slider, pad volume, panning. You have an entire trigger adjustment settings right here. You have crosstalk, gain, minimum level. We have the velocity curve that we can adjust right here. We have trigger settings, kick velocity, double kick on and off. So as you can see, there's not quite as many settings that you can adjust as on the DTX 700 series. But again, that thing is way, way more expensive. The module on the DTX 700 series is more expensive than the entire 400 series drum set line. And then finally, we have the Music Soft Manager. Now, the way I understand this app is it basically lets you import MIDI data to your drum module. So for example, if you wanted to import the MIDI data for Tom Sawyer by Rush, It lets you do that. You can mute the individual parts. You can mute the drums. You can listen to the drums. You're going to hear, every song you're going to download as a really cheesy MIDI instrument file thing. But it's definitely something that exists, and it's a fun app to play around with if you want to learn a song and be able to mute individual instruments. And yes, you do have to purchase these songs, unfortunately. Some of them are free, I believe, and then you have to pay for other ones. So before we move on to Roland, I want to point out one last thing. Not all these apps are currently available on the App Store, especially if you have an Android phone. A lot of these drum companies, they'll make an iOS version of the app, and they'll never bother to make an Android version. So it really depends on what app you're going to download. Check your compatibility. Also, a lot of these drum companies, they make the app, and sometimes they just don't update them for a really long time. So for example, some of the Roland apps, they don't even exist. You can't download them right now because they haven't been updated to work with iOS 11, and I don't know about Android compatibility. So yes, everything I'm about to say, these apps exist, but they may not be available due to updates and stuff. All right, so let's move on to the Roland apps. Back in the early days of this channel, you really shouldn't go back there because most of those videos are really cringy. But I made a couple of videos on the Roland Air Record app. Unfortunately, Roland doesn't have this on the Apple App Store anymore. But that's how I recorded my initial intro. Actually, the intro I still use every single day. It was originally 10 seconds long, then I cut it down to just under 5 seconds. I recorded that with an app called Roland Air Record. Roland does have an app called Friend Jam. Unfortunately, you can't actually download it from the App Store right now because Roland hasn't updated it to iOS 11. But you can download it onto your laptop, your Mac, or your PC, and that's what I've done. By the way, if Roland ever does get around to updating Friend Jam and lets you download it to your phone again, you'll have to buy one of these. It's a little Wi-Fi thing, a little Wi-Fi USB plug that you plug into the back of your drum module. It connects to your home Wi-Fi network. You have to put in your password, and basically this talks to your phone, and that's how the data is transferred. You don't need a cable, it's wireless, but you will have to spend 20 to 50 bucks to find one of these darn things. So you're probably wondering what the heck Friend Jam is. It's basically a game. There's a bunch of different songs inside of there, rock songs, metal songs, jazz songs, funk songs. You play to these songs. There's no rules on how you have to play it, but it gives you a score and then gives you a rank across all the other people that have played that song. I routinely get into the 400s or 500s in my score and my rank across the world. My highest score I've ever gotten is somewhere around 430 points, and I never seem to be able to break that barrier. But here's what it kind of looks like, and here's what it sounds like when you're playing it. So it's basically like Guitar Hero, except it lets you freestyle and play it however you want. This isn't a really deep game that you'll spend 60 hours really having a lot of fun with. You're basically going to play it for a half an hour, a couple of days, and you're probably going to give up on it. So right now you can't get it on your phone because it hasn't been updated to iOS 11 yet. So don't bother buying this thing right now. Just download it onto your computer. It's absolutely free. Connect it via a USB cable, and you're good to go. So it's a fun game to play for free, and it's worth playing around with. I enjoy playing it. Okay, so what about Friend Jam Kids? What's the difference between that and Friend Jam? Basically, it's just the exact same thing, except the songs are a lot cheesier. And there's no world ranking that I could see. And the buttons are all bubbly, and it's just supposed to be this kid-friendly program. But it's exactly the same thing as Friend Jam, and I don't really understand why you would have your kid play that instead of actual Friend Jam, because kids want to know where they rank around the world. That's why kids play video games. That's why I still play video games. The last program from Roland is basically a teaching tutorial that you have to buy. I think it's somewhere around 100 bucks. I didn't really delve much into researching that thing because it's not free. But yeah, that's definitely an option if you want to learn how to play drums. Okay, so let's move on to Alesis. Unfortunately, they don't have a ton of different apps and programs you can download. First of all, they have the Alesis Strike program, which is actually really useful. I saw it being used at Robert's house. I tried to download it onto my laptop and try to use it, but the moment you download it, install it, and try to open the app, it actually says you can't open this until you have an Alesis Strike plugged in. So unfortunately, I couldn't go around and see what all it does, but from what Robert was saying to me, it was a very useful program that you should download right now if you have an Alesis Strike drum set. And they also have the weirdest app of all time for electronic drums. It's called the Alesis DM Touch app. So basically this was for a short-lived drum module that Alesis tried to make, where it's basically an Alesis DM10. It's a box with a bunch of inputs on the back. There's a slot where you slide in your iPad, you download this special app, and your iPad becomes the drum module. Unfortunately, I never saw one of these drum modules in real life, but I've got a couple of stills here of the app. So as you can see, you can adjust different tuning of all the drums. You can actually buy extra snares from the app itself, so that's a cool thing. I like that a lot. You can adjust, sensitivity, threshold. Your iPad is the drum module, so they give you control over everything within this app. It was a really interesting idea. I heard a rumor that the latency on this was a bit high, and it just never really caught on because you needed to have an iPad. iPads are expensive, and you always got to have it with your drum set anytime you want to use it, and then you had to buy the drum module and blah blah blah, so it never really caught on. All right, so moving on to the next company, we have Simmons. Believe it or not, they actually have an app that controls a bunch of different drum modules. I'll leave them up on the screen which ones this module or this app is compatible with. So opening it up, the first screen that shows up is that you need a USB camera adapter provided by Apple to connect this to your drum module. I believe that's the exact same thing that you need to use with the Yamaha apps and the Yamaha modules. But anyway, we can skip that and just poke around the app and see what all it has. So let's see. You can edit your kits. So let's click on snare. You can adjust reverb, chorus, panning, tuning, decay, and you can do that for all the different drums. If you go over here to teaching mode, you can actually play it to different songs. It will give you a top score. It'll give you your most recent score. It can even suggest a kit for you to play with. Let's see, there's a kit selector, and unfortunately we can't select the kits until we have the module plugged in. Unlike the Yamaha app where they have an app for every single different module, this one just has one app for all the different modules, and it doesn't let you select the kit until it can detect what drum set you're actually playing with. So yeah, this is a really simple app. Doesn't really let you do much, and that kind of reflects the nature of Simmons drum sets in general. I'm not a really big fan of Simmons, unfortunately, because they just haven't made a ton of good drum sets. I know they were beast back in the 90s, 80s, and 70s, that whatever era they were in back there. They made some of the best drum sets of all time back then, but unfortunately, they just haven't been making many new good drum sets. I even played their newest drum set, the SD2000. I can't make a full video on that because I was playing a defective unit. I played it multiple times and they never fixed it. Wasn't really a big fan of the SD2000. And just Simmons, unfortunately, they're in the middle of an overhaul. The SD2000 is a step in the right direction, and hopefully the SD3000 or 4000, whatever new drum set that will come after that, will be something that can, compete with Alesis, Yamaha, and Roland. We'll have to see. All right, so one last company to mention is Tubox. They don't have an app for your phone or anything like that, but they do have a program that you can download to your laptop. I haven't downloaded it, but I can read what it does on the website. According to them, it gives you the ability to create or edit drum kits, multi-zone samples, and loops. It looks like a full-fledged kit editor. It lets you do a lot of things within it. So if you have the Tubox Drum It 5 or the soon-to-be-released Drum It 3 drum module, be sure to download this program. Unfortunately, there's no app for your phone, but they do have a program just like the Alesis Strike. Okay, so that's a broad overview of all the different apps and programs out there on the market. I know I've probably missed a few, so let me know down in the comments any of the ones that you use that I didn't talk about in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, learned something from it. If you want to go download it and let me know what you think of it, that'd be awesome. I'll see you guys in a few.